Good morning or good afternoon if you're in the East Coast starting at noon. This is match day. My name is Vince, and I'd like to welcome all of you that are either watching live and or are going to watch it later on a replay. So with us today, I'm really excited because we get to talk a little shop. But with us today is JT Dorsey, and JT Dorsey is currently he's in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He runs, he's a principal, so he has all these hats. It's amazing. I don't know where you find the time. First off, he's a dad, his kids. And then second off, he's a principal of a school. He runs his own foundation. He's also involved with the grassroots coaching for Eastern Pennsylvania Youth Soccer Association. Fantastic state association, by the way. They really get it. And then he does stuff for the U.S. Soccer Foundation. So I don't know if you can see this, but does stuff for the U.S. Soccer Foundation. He's a trainer. He's one of the trainers. Every time I watch him, I learn so much from him. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Urban Soccer Diploma that we offer, but we're also going to talk a little bit about some methods or whatever, or some strategies that clubs can use if they're in those spaces, and also maybe provide ideas for clubs to get into those spaces. So thank you, JT. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Vince. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Good. Thank you. So we started the Urban Soccer Diploma about 3 years ago. We've been trying to get off the ground for about 5, it seems like. So the Urban Soccer Diploma, I always get asked, so why do we need a special course for the urban, for those kids? So in a nutshell, what makes this course different from, for example, any other grassroots course that they can take through U.S. Soccer or through us or through AYSO or SAY?
I would say, some of the difference is, those courses, those grassroots courses are fantastic. I think the Urban Soccer Diploma dives a little bit deeper into how soccer kind of affects the community and how, it can not only do great things for the kids on the field, but it can also help the community in general. When we talk about things like, mindfulness and, having those brain breaks and things like that are a little bit different than, the things that are in some of those grassroots courses. And I think, again, this urban soccer is kind of like whole child focused. And you really take a look at like, what is the makeup of the team? What is the makeup of the community around it? Mm-hmm. Getting into things where like, I know just from some of our programs, we don't do things, early on Sunday mornings because a lot of our kids, their families, they attend church.
Yeah.
So, having a Sunday game at 11 o'clock is just not happening because, Auntie and Grandma and Tia and Tio say, nope, we have to be at church that day. And, church may go to like 1 o'clock. So we may not start those programs until then. But it really takes a look, I think a difference is really takes a look at the whole child and the community and how that soccer program can affect the community.
Yeah, I mean, and they have, those communities that are running soccer programs, they have different challenges than, for example, the clubs out in the rural areas or suburbs. The suburbs, for example, they might not have all the equipment and the field space, and safe spaces to play, right? So I think that's another little element that the Urban Soccer Diploma we get into is, well, how do you create an activity and you've been given 4 cones and 2 soccer balls and you got 12 kids, right? So what do you do? So I think those are some, and then we also go through some scenarios during the course, right? You have some disrupting kids, right? You have kids that are trying to dominate the conversation.
Right.
So it is unique, and it's more. I think I hope it's more two-way, right?
Right.
And for me, I always found, like you have a special place in your heart, right, for those kids, and I do too. And even though I didn't grow up in Indianapolis, I worked. I can tell you right now, I went hungry right during the day, during the school hours, because my dad was laid off. He was a factory worker and he was laid off, and we had to, like a lot of people, back in the late 70s, early 80s, we had to kind of ration our portions to get through. So we pretty much saved up until dinner. But that's what some of these kids are doing, and because a lot of them are on free reduced lunch programs. Again, completely different from a lot of the suburban kids. So you want to speak to that maybe? Maybe some of they're not challenges for me. They shouldn't be. They should just be situations that, these are the things that these kids come with.
Yeah, I mean, they're things that you have to be mindful of, and create a plan for. When you're working through those and you're approaching things with an empathetic lens. I can say, for me, I was that kid. I had, growing up in the projects, it was very difficult, for me to be able to participate in soccer, and to go to training and be hungry and stuff like that, So, to have those ideas and just even to have that conversation during the diploma, just hopefully gets people to think about those when they're planning sessions, or like you said earlier, with limited resources. But it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the game, right? It doesn't mean that you can't have fun. You can't be consistent. And, one of the things that we talk about is that caring adult on a consistent basis, and being able to do what you say you're going to do, and have, don't take any excuses. We've been to places where we roll in, think we got the gym, all of a sudden there's a leak in the ceiling or something, and now you gotta do the session in the hallway, right? But you can't just go, oh, we're just gonna cancel practice, because a lot of times for the kids, that's the safest space that they can be. And even if it is less playing and more, talking and being there for them and helping them and being a good role model, that's a successful training session, right? Even though there was very little soccer being played.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we say this in all of our courses, even our advanced courses, a coach might be the best thing going for a kid, regardless of grassroots or advanced level, elite level college player, that coach might be that best thing that's going for them. And I was joking about the 4 cones and 2 soccer balls, but I remember I during college in the summer times, I worked for the Indianapolis Parks Department. And my job was to go out and run soccer clinics in all the parks. And they literally gave me 4 cones and 2 soccer balls. And these kids would just show up, right? And it'd be like, and I might have 50 kids. So it was, and I learned, and that's what it's still, I think it's getting better today. I think a lot of organizations are willing to help and send, equipment and all that to clubs. Hopefully they do it without, without, hey, we give you this, you give us 2 players, right? I mean, it should be about that. It should be, you're given to give. But and Kimberly Crabb said, she can totally relate. And no, it's great. Thank you, Kim. No, and so we've done this Urban Soccer Diploma. It's, I think, been very successful. We're constantly tweaking some ideas. We already talked about some of the ideas that are presented in it. For example, mindfulness. We talk about mindfulness, how that helps kids focus, how that helps them. We talk about brain breaks. So let's talk a little bit about what we were talking about before. How can clubs that are more in the suburban areas help, right, those kids that are in non-traditional settings? And by the way, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're inner city. I mean, it could be kids that are in the farm lands, and they don't have equipment and stuff too. So just in non-traditional settings, how can what have you seen?
So I think you and I chatted the other day about this thing I've been calling the ARC for soccer in the underserved communities, and that's ARC, right? And first thing talking about is just like authenticity and just be authentic in why you want to actually
Yeah.
help or grow the game, right? So, when you're going to do something like that, like you have to go in with this mindset of like, I want to support the community,
Right.
right? And when you support the community and you're there, you're not just concerned with what's going on in the field, but you're like concerned what's going on in life, right? And we have to have this understanding that, there's a saying that, someone used to say to me, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So, we want people to be authentic, and be willing to share and willing to help support the community when they're there. But also, just an authentic, like just being honest, right? Like if you have a club and you are looking for some difference makers, right?
Yeah.
And, you're like, hey, I really just want to find players to help our club get better.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest and say that. Like, don't portray that you're coming for something else. And then,
Right.
then all of a sudden you're taking those resources out the community. We talk about like, the R being relationships. What relationships
Yeah.
are you making within that community, with those kids? And that relationship is going to be able to help in so many ways. Also like doing your research and understanding that there might be clubs and programs that are already doing certain things in those areas
Right. Right.
that you didn't know might be there. And by coming in just in this big swoop, you could be, undercutting someone else who's maybe been there for 10 years, maybe just didn't have,
Right.
a ton of backing or money or whatever to be able to do bigger and better things. And, we say be consistent, with those relationships and know that you're going to get more no's than you're going to get yeses. Right.
Yeah.
And to also understand that like, even those kids that are better and may be able to make a way for themselves through the game, but they're a way for that community to celebrate. Right. So I remember, growing up and like some of the people that were, the bad people in my community were like, JT, yo, I saw you in a paper, you're doing your soccer thing. That's really cool. Like
Yeah.
that, we're proud of you. Like,
Yeah.
don't end up like us. You don't have to end up on the corner out here like we are. Like keep pushing that. I know that's not our game, right? But
Right.
keep doing the thing that makes us proud, right? Like, so understanding that those kids and those people have, buy-in and they have a stake in that community. And then while you're doing that, teach them to give back, right? So when I was able to make it out, like right now we have programming that runs in the community where I grew up, because
Yeah.
it was very important to me that, to be able to take the resources that I now have to be able to give back to that community, and then when you make that commitment, that I think you need to go in with at least a 5-year plan of what this is going to look like. How are you going to help? And what resources you can bring into that community to help that community create sustainable programming for their kids. I understand that like, I was left on the doorstep sometimes waiting for, somebody to pick me up for the weekend. Right.
Yeah.
So if you come in, you sweep in and you do this, and then all of a sudden you're gone, what did you really help? So be able to teach the people that are there if they want it.
Yeah.
We try and find those champions in the community, give them opportunity, give them the coach education to be able to teach and help and run, programming there that gives them a sense of belonging and pride to be able to walk around wearing their soccer jerseys and stuff
Yeah.
throughout the community. So
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was working with an Indianapolis public school last spring, actually, before COVID,
Yeah.
and the kids were getting so excited just because they knew they were going to get jerseys, right? And they wanted to wear them, and we were going to play against another school. And that's a whole nother podcast or webinar, if you will, by the way. How do you create programming for schools? And Kimberly, by the way, is very active, which is wonderful. Thank you, Kimberly.
Right.
She mentioned that she found that bringing the game to the kids within the community works best, right? As opposed to getting them out there. And I totally agree. So that's kind of what that club did, that I was kind of helping out last year. They found a public school that was near them, not a bunch, just one. And then there was a couple of us that, myself, because I have, a special place in my heart, and I worked for the Boys and Girls Clubs, and I had those experiences, and I know, and I can empathize a little bit with some of their struggles or challenges, if you will. But they worked with those kids, and we did an after school program, and it tied in with, there was mentorship in there. There was all sorts of little pieces in there that we threw in. And Kimberly also mentioned, the transportation situations or lack of, right, is what many kids struggle with,
Right.
And
that's why I think, like Kim's doing, and there's people around the country that are doing this and doing great jobs, I know, Kim's programs and stuff like that, like they're looking to do programs where the kids are.
Yeah.
So we, similar to that, we do programs at the school.
Yep.
And then we try and partner with, other programs that they may bring nutrition snacks and stuff like that, or they may bring other resources to that, but go to the school. It doesn't have to be on this really great soccer pitch, right? Use the school. That's where the kids are. And, that can eliminate the transportation thing for some.
Yeah, no, and Kimberly, and we got Shalom is also asking some questions I'm going to ask you. So, but Kimberly also said kids tend to emulate, when they see and identify with someone whom looks like them. So I don't look like them, right? But hopefully I show enough care, that I'm a champion for them when they come into the gym, or they get on the field, And by the way, and I've learned for these kids, I tend to just do a lot of games-based practices, so a lot of just getting them playing, teaching, and then breaking it down a little bit, and then letting them play again, letting them experience the game a little bit more, kind of like street soccer, which ties in with Shalom's question. He says, what are your thoughts on street soccer and futsal as an option for city kids?
I think those are great options. I mean, similar to, we play pickup basketball all the time. And really, tactics and all those things kind of go out the window if your touch and stuff isn't there, right? So the more that they can play, and the more that we try and break down the barriers of you can't play soccer because there's no field, the more opportunity we give kids to use their imagination and play. I remember growing up playing football in the street. We just had somebody who was the lookout to make sure cars weren't coming. Because catching that touchdown may have a dire consequence to it.
Yeah,
but
like the third door as a touchdown or something.
But playing street soccer and futsal, any opportunity, I think you can get kids to be able to kick balls, dribble balls, pass balls, is a great opportunity, and I think that gets us to be able to think outside the box.
Yep.
When the reality of it is we need them to play as well as possible, because if you play. Yeah, no, and Shalom had, a few, another follow-up question, and he just says, what are your thoughts about street soccer, but his follow-up question is, does it make more sense to build these programs versus trying to get the kids to a field? Yeah, and Shalom, she's great, like, in terms of, like, building these programs. Like, I think you should look at the programs first, and build that program and then start building around it, because the reality of it is the programs are giving kids an opportunity to be in a safe space for, a few hours. And if they have to wait on a field, so many things can happen to them waiting on that field to be built, and it's not on them. You got permits, all the other stuff that goes on that can hold that process up. So, if you got to do it in, we have programs that run in a multi-purpose room, which serves as a cafeteria, auditorium, gymnasium. We're picking up the string beans and stuff from lunch to make sure kids aren't falling on those. But they don't have any less of a good time as kids that we end up coaching on, really plush turf fields.
Right.
They're just excited to have this person there who is, a pillar in their community, giving them something great, excited about their successes, excited about them on and off the field. Why wouldn't you want to go there?
Yeah. No, and I thank you, by the way, Kimberly and Shalom, for your questions. So we've gone over time, and we can talk urban soccer, diplomas all day, and I always enjoy talking with you about all this. So for those that are watching, by the way, we need to get our state associations involved, right? I mean, this could be one of the most important courses in the country. Mm-hmm. U.S. Soccer is wonderful grassroots courses. They're great. And, there's a different course, that's available for those kids that we're missing, or those kids that need something, because maybe they're not going to grow, right? So they're not going to be 6'5" and be a basketball player, but maybe they're going to be 6 foot and they could be one heck of a soccer player. By the way, we got different people coming in, and it's great. And Kimberly seems like she's got some wonderful ideas, so we need to get in touch with Kimberly. By the way, so boy, I don't know his name. I'm just going to call him Gianni. His company is Kick Soccer Academy in Louisville, which, by the way, it's an hour and a half from me. And he runs an after-school program. He's about to start a project with a local school system to bring the program to lower-income ESL students in urban areas. Fantastic. And he's looking at networking to learning more from existing successful programs in the country. So maybe, Gianton, if you want, I'll type my email here at the bottom, and I can get you connected with JT. So hopefully that will satisfy. But it's interesting you mentioned ESL students. Next week, I think we're going to have Dr. Fritz Edel talking about strategies to work with children whose English, who are just learning the English language. So we're going to talk about those next week with Dr. Fritz Edel. So maybe that's one you want to listen in on. Kimberly has said that she shares organized recess to reach an amazing number of kids. And she said that you think the World Cup takes place in each week. Yeah, it's great. It's kids are kids. They love to play. They love to be a part of something. They love to belong. They love to feel loved, and wanted. And, it's always, for me, it's always you coach the person first and then the sport second, But Kimberly, thank you. I'd like to see that program if you have a chance. Maybe you can share that with all of us, because JT, Michael Van Scherben, and I, we've been we're always trying to add to this Urban Soccer Diploma, which, by the way, it's a 4. I think do we have 3 versions, JT?
Yeah, I think it's 3.
Soon to have a 4th. So we have a 4-hour, a 6-hour, and an 8-hour version. And so if organizations want that, you can go through us or go through United Soccer Coaches. But JT, anything to end with here? Because we've gone over time, and I'm going to put my email in here while people are typing. And I'm more than happy to share some of our stuff with them for watching.
Yeah, I would just say to people that, keep up the good fight. Every kid deserves, a good opportunity to be able to play a game that's enjoyable. And we as the adults need to be able to continue to press for them and not give up. And, again, you're going to get more no's and more hurdles and more excuses than you are going to get yeses. And, we need to think outside the box, when, again, you talk about the street soccer situation, you talk about organized recess, which I know Kim Crabb and her excitement, like, tell me where that's happening. I'm coming, right? Like, I would love to be at a recess with someone who's just as passionate about that game as Kim is. And, if we keep that passion, that desire, and that open mindset of, not giving up and being supportive and look at what can be out there, we're going to have fantastic opportunities for kids to just be able to play.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And you just said it there at the end. I mean, kids are kids. I mean, they might have different situations, but, I mean, a lot of times I found if you have a goal on one end, a goal on another end, you put a ball in the middle, they're okay, and I think that's true everywhere. But JT, thank you so much. Love to have you on again, and we can get into a little bit more. For those that are brave enough to come in back this afternoon, we're going to have Greg Winkler, who is our chair for our high school advocacy group for United Soccer Coaches. He's going to be talking about just the significance of the high school coach, but also the DA, the new changes with the DA, so and how that might impact high school soccer as well. So thank you all very much, JT. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're wonderful. And thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for on the other end.